If Minnesota wants to potentially be a Big Ten West contender in November, they need more offense than just Darius Taylor.
From LA to Piscataway, all Big Ten all year long. This is Big Ten 10.
If you told me earlier in the week that, Drake Maye is going to get his, I probably would have predicted the game ended up like it did. And that's Drake Maye sitting back there having over 400 yards passing against this Minnesota defense. I know you got Tyler Nubin back there, maybe one of the best safeties in the country. I know you got Justin Wally. Beyond that, you really saw the North Carolina talent discrepancy on the outside, I think, over Minnesota in this game. And when Drake Maye is kind of able to sit back there and he's going to be able to read things and go through multiple progressions, he's going to find the open guy. Of course, he's that talented of a quarterback. I want to throw Minnesota some bones, though. They had opportunities. This defense was making stops. They were containing this North Carolina offense in the middle of the game, but it's the offense. It's the offense that failed to capitalize on some of these opportunities. I'll get to the offense here in just a minute, but when Drake Maye is able to do his thing, not a lot of defenses are going to be able to contain what North Carolina wants to do, and you saw that. The good news for Minnesota is you won't see a ton of offenses. You won't see a ton of teams on the remainder of your schedule like North Carolina. Okay, you're going to see Ohio State later in the season, right, in November. Other than that, especially through this Big Ten West schedule, this is kind of an anomaly. This is kind of an outlier in terms of what Minnesota will face down the stretch. So, yeah, you can sit back as a Gopher fan and say, allowing 400 yards is no bueno. And it's not good. It is not good at all, right? We all know that, but you can take solace in the fact, thinking that, okay, we're not going to see this type of offense a lot during the remainder of the season. So, and there were at times, like I said, that Minnesota was able to make stops. It's just their offense wasn't able to help them out. This Gopher team, it's creeping there. I'm not totally saying they're a mirror image or a carbon copy of what 2022 was, but you can start to see it, right? You've got a solid defense, and you've got an offense that has last year they had a better running back, right? You got a true freshman that's doing some good things. But you got a good run game, and then you got a pass game that isn't doing great right now. And put all that together, and you see some similarities between last year's squad and this year's squad for Minnesota. I don't think there's really anything else to say in terms of Minnesota's defense against North Carolina's offense. It was what it was. North Carolina carved them up for a lot of this game. Gophers did a decent job at keeping them out of the end zone and keeping them off the scoreboard in some of these situations, but not being able to capitalize on some of those opportunities for Minnesota's offense is what did the Gophers in, especially those two turnovers early in those games. You got to turn them into touchdowns. Okay, the way that I was really viewing this game at that time, interception. It kind of jumped out of my seat a little bit. Okay, here come the Gophers. Maybe something can happen. But when you don't get touchdowns in those situations against North Carolina, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well. Let's transition to the offensive side of the ball, okay? Darius Taylor's the guy. He's RB1. I don't think there's any question about that. What he did last week and then what he did this week now against the Power 5 defense, he has established himself as a true freshman as the top back and maybe the next really good to great back that Minnesota is going to have. And the more success that he has and maybe the less efficient, should I say, that this passing game is, you creep once again into that 2022 mindset where you want to be physical up front. You want to run the football. When you do that with Darius Taylor, good things seem to happen. But when you get behind like they did against North Carolina, it makes it difficult to come back. You got to put the ball at that point into the hands of Athan Kaliakmanis. Like Darius Taylor, Athan Kaliakmanis was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school, and I believe he's a good talent. But I don't know if the guys he's throwing the football to right now are doing him any favors. When you don't have Chris Ottman-Bell in your lineup, I think that's really creating some interesting things right now for this Gopher offense. Let me talk about that. Let me explain. I don't think there's a star. I don't think there's a star in this receiving game. I don't think there's a star that consistently creates separation from a defensive back. Daniel Jackson, Corey Crooms, Brockington, Spencer, all these guys. I don't see a star. And Athan Kaliakmanis is very far away from a guy like Drake Maye, where he can assist in maybe lesser talent that's out on the perimeter. I think Athan, I thought coming into this season that this wide receiving core would help him in his development as a quarterback because of all the talent that's out there. But now we're kind of learning as a couple of games kind of go down a little bit that maybe that talent isn't separating as much as we would like. If Chris Autman-Bell comes back down the road, maybe you have that guy that can be that star wide receiver, that can create that separation, and then maybe once the defense shades over there, it helps out these other guys as well in this pass game. But Athan Kaliakmanis right now is not that talent where he's going to go out there and make all these pass-catching threats better. That's not who he is right now. This is a frustrating pass game. This is a frustrating offense right now because of what you have in this run game with Darius Taylor. It was sometimes drop balls. It was missed throws. And you saw this in some of these other games that you've seen that they've played this season, Nebraska and Eastern Michigan as well. If Minnesota wants to contend in the Big Ten West, and I know the West it's not a great division so far, folks. It does not look good, especially some of these offenses out there. Okay? Minnesota's no exception to the rule that is the Big Ten West through the first couple of weeks here this season. But if they want to be there, they're going to need to get better throwing the football. They're going to need more balance because otherwise you're going to end up kind of a lot like you did last year. And you're going to run the ball, and you're going to run the ball, and you're going to run the ball, and you're going to lean on that so much that maybe Athan Kaliakmanis won't develop that confidence throwing the football. There's been a few games, a lot of incompletions so far. Athan really hasn't stood out to me in one of these three games. Sure, there's been a decent throw here. Oh, a good throw there. But overall, it really hasn't stood out to me that maybe he's a quarterback that can take this offense to a 2019 type of level. Ever since that 2019 team that was very balanced, Tanner Morgan threw for a lot of yards. Sorry, Gopher fans. Tanner Morgan threw for a lot of yards. It's now become a run-heavy offense. For Minnesota, it seems like to have success, they got to run the ball and they got to have a great defensive effort. And if that all doesn't work perfectly, they can run into issues, especially if they get behind in a football game. Everything's still ahead of Minnesota. You still got one loss. You still got Louisiana. You still got Northwestern. This could still very well be, what would that be, a 4-1 team going into the Michigan game for the Little Round Jug. All right? There is still a lot in front of this Gopher team. But if there's one thing that they need to get better at, they need to get better at throwing the football. Whether that's getting Chris Autman-Bell back, whether that's getting these wide receivers in better situations, scheming them up to get open, whatever that is, they got to make it happen. I want to hear what you guys have to think about this Minnesota loss to North Carolina. How do you feel about the pass game? The defense not doing great against Drake Maye and the Tar Heels. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for watching Big Ten Ted, where it's all Big Ten all year long. Make sure to like the video to spread the word of Big Ten Ted to the masses, and subscribe to the channel for updates on Big Ten content that drops every day.